The vastness of deep space held many secrets, but none quite like this. High Admiral Zenaval of the Nexeri Confederation stood aboard the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Light, her crystalline eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The unknown vessel that had triggered their long-range sensors shouldn't have been there at all, let alone broadcasting its presence so boldly. The Nexeri had ruled this sector of space for millennia, their bioorganic ships and quantum technology far surpassing anything their sensors had detected from Earth. They had watched humanity from afar, cataloging them as a Level 2 civilization, barely capable of interstellar travel, still struggling with their primitive fusion drives and chemical rockets. High Admiral, her second-in-command, Fexnar, approached with characteristic grace, his iridescent skin shifting colors with concern. The vessel maintains its position. Our analysis confirms it's of human origin. Zenaval's anterior tendrils twitched, a sign of disbelief among her kind. Impossible. The humans lack the capability to project this far into deep space. Their most advanced ships barely reach their neighboring systems. Yet there it was, a massive warship of unmistakably human design, its hull bearing the markings of Earth's United Space Command. The vessel hung in space like a dark leviathan, its surface dotted with what appeared to be weapon emplacements and defense systems far more advanced than anything the Nexeri had observed from Earth. "Launch a deep scan," Zenaval ordered, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of command. "I want to know everything about that ship." The bridge crew worked in perfect synchronization, their bioneural interfaces connecting them directly to their stations. The Eternal Light's quantum sensors reached out, prodding the human vessel with energy beams designed to penetrate any known shielding. The results made no sense. "High Admiral," the sensor chief's voice wavered. "Our scans, they're being reflected." "No, not reflected. They're being absorbed and redirected. We can't penetrate their outer hull." Zenaval moved closer to the holographic display, her crystalline eyes narrowing. The human ship's design defied conventional logic. Where Nexeri vessels were smooth and organic, this ship was angular and aggressive. Where their technology sought harmony with space itself, this vessel seemed to challenge it. "Send the standard greeting package," she commanded. "Let's see how they respond to." Her words were cut short as the human vessel suddenly came to life. Massive panels along its hull shifted, revealing systems that had been completely hidden from their scans. Energy readings spiked off their scales. Multiple weapons systems activating. Fexnar called out. "There?" He paused, checking his readings again. "They're targeting our sensor arrays specifically. How could they even identify?" The human ship moved with impossible speed for its size. A burst of energy, unlike anything in the Nexeri database, lashed out across space. It struck their forward sensor array with surgical precision, temporarily blinding their most sophisticated detection systems. Zenaval felt something she hadn't experienced in centuries: genuine surprise. The humans shouldn't have been capable of this level of technological advancement. Their monitoring of Earth had shown no signs of such capabilities. Yet here they were, demonstrating technology that rivaled, perhaps even surpassed, certain aspects of Nexeri engineering. "Send a priority signal to the Confederation," she ordered. Tell them we need to reassess everything we think we know about humanity." The human vessel remained in position, its weapons powered but held in check. It was a clear demonstration, not an attack, but a message. They could have done far more damage, but they chose not to. "They're broadcasting," the communications officer announced. "Audio only, in standard galactic common." A human voice filled the bridge, calm and confident. "Nexeri vessel, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the UEC Prometheus. Your long-range surveillance of Earth has not gone unnoticed. We've allowed it until now because we believed in peaceful coexistence. However, your recent military buildup in this sector suggests other intentions. Consider this a diplomatic courtesy call and a reminder that appearances can be deceiving." The bridge fell silent. Zenaval's tendrils twisted in complex patterns as she processed this development. The humans hadn't just matched some of their technology. They'd been aware of Nexeri surveillance all along. They'd allowed it, using it to project an image of technological inferiority while developing capabilities in secret. High Admiral Fexnar spoke softly. This changes everything we thought we knew about human potential. No, Zenaval replied, her crystalline eyes fixed on the imposing human warship. This merely proves we never truly understood human potential at all. And that, Commander, may be the most concerning revelation of all. Hours had passed since the initial encounter, but the tension aboard the Eternal Light only grew. High Admiral Zenaval stood in the ship's strategic command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing everything they knew about human civilization, information that now seemed woefully inadequate. They'd been playing us, Zenaval announced to her gathered command staff. Every technological breakthrough we observed, every limitation we documented, it was all carefully crafted theater. She gestured to a display showing Earth's public space program. While we watched their crude orbital stations and basic colonization efforts, they were building something far more sophisticated in secret. The UEC Prometheus remained positioned at the edge of their sensor range, its presence a constant reminder of their miscalculation. 3 more Nexeri battlecruisers had arrived to support the Eternal Light, but Captain Chen's ship showed no signs of concern at the display of force. Latest analysis of their weapon systems, Fexnar reported, bringing up new data. The energy signature they used to disable our sensors. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. It didn't just block our scans, it adapted to them in real time. A junior analyst stepped forward, her bioluminescent patterns showing excitement. High Admiral, we've been analyzing their ship's design. The external configuration appears deliberately inefficient. Until you factor in dimensional physics we thought impossible to harness at their technological level. They're not just matching our technology. They're approaching it from completely different principles. Zenaval's tendrils coiled tightly, a sign of deep thought among her species. The humans hadn't just developed advanced technology. They'd developed it along paths the Nexeri had never considered. Their assumptions about linear technological progression had blinded them to humanity's capacity for lateral thinking. The communication system chimed. High Admiral, the officer announced, Captain Chen is requesting to speak with you directly. She says it's time we had an honest conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy. Zenaval authorized the communication. The holographic display shifted, revealing Captain Chen's image. She was younger than the Admiral expected, but her eyes held a depth of experience that transcended her apparent age. Admiral Zenaval, Chen began, her tone respectful but firm. I understand this situation must be unsettling for your people. The Nexeri have considered themselves the most advanced civilization in this sector for a long time. You deceived us. Zenaval responded, her translator conveying the complex emotions in her harmonic speech. For decades, you allowed us to believe. We allowed you to believe what you wanted to believe. Chen interrupted. Your civilization's greatest weakness, Admiral, is your certainty in your own superiority. You watched us, categorized us, but never truly tried to understand us. The words struck deeper than any weapon could. Chen continued, humanity's history is written in survival against overwhelming odds. Every time we faced extinction, we've emerged stronger. We didn't develop our technology to match yours. We developed it because we had to. Because survival demands innovation. As if to emphasize her point, the Prometheus's hull shifted again, revealing new configurations that defied the Nexeri's understanding of spacecraft design. Energy readings fluctuated in patterns that shouldn't have been possible. Your ship, Fexnar spoke up, unable to contain his scientific curiosity. The energy matrices, the adaptive systems, they're not just advanced. They're elegant. Chen smiled slightly. That's because we learn to work with the universe's laws rather than trying to impose our will upon them. Your bioorganic technology seeks to create perfect harmony. We learn to dance with chaos, to find strength in imperfection. Zenaval watched as her crew's reactions shifted from fear to fascination. The humans hadn't just achieved technological parity. They'd found entirely new ways of understanding the universe. Their perceived primitiveness had been a shield, hiding a civilization that had taken a completely different path to advancement. The Confederation won't accept this easily, Zenaval said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of Nexeri tradition. Our entire understanding of civilizational development is based on assumptions that we've just proven wrong, Chen finished. That's the thing about humanity, Admiral. We don't just break rules. We rewrite them. The question now is, are the Nexeri ready to accept that they're not alone at the summit of technological achievement? The question hung in space between them, as heavy as a neutron star. Zenaval realized that this moment would define not just the future of human-Nexeri relations, but the Confederation's understanding of its place in the universe. The humans hadn't just challenged their military superiority. They'd challenged everything the Nexeri thought they knew about the nature of progress itself. The Nexeri battle fleet arrived with the suddenness of a quantum surge. 12 capital ships materialized from Fold space, their bioorganic hulls pulsing with barely contained energy. The Eternal Lights Bridge crew watched as the newly arrived Confederation forces took up attack positions around the human vessel. High Admiral Zenaval felt her crystalline heart sink. She had hoped to prevent this, but the Confederation Council had made their decision. Humanity's deception could not go unchallenged. At least, that was their reasoning. Orders from High Command. Thexnar announced, his skin shifting to the dark patterns of combat readiness. We are to disable and board the human vessel. They want their technology intact for study. Captain Chen's image appeared on their command display, her expression unchanged despite the overwhelming force now surrounding her ship. I see the Confederation has made their choice, she said calmly. I had hoped we could avoid this particular lesson. Supreme Commander Vexcor of the Confederation Fleet spoke next, his voice carrying the authority of 10,000 years of Nexeri dominance. Human vessel, you will power down your systems and prepare for boarding. Your technological achievements will be documented and analyzed. Resistance will result in your destruction. Chen's response was not what anyone expected. She laughed. Supreme Commander, she said, her voice carrying an edge of what might have been pity, you're still thinking in linear terms. You see our ship, our technology, as something you can simply take and understand. But humanity's greatest weapon has never been our technology. The Prometheus's hull began to change, not just reconfiguring but seeming to shift in ways that defied the Nexeri's understanding of physical space. Energy readings became impossible to interpret, as if the ship was both there and not there simultaneously. Our greatest weapon, Chen continued, is our ability to think in ways you never imagined. What happened next would be debated in Nexeri military academies for centuries to come. The Prometheus didn't just fight. It rewrote the rules of space combat with every move. Where the Nexeri expected it to retreat from their superior numbers, it advanced. When they anticipated a defensive posture, it split their formation with maneuvers that should have torn any ship apart. Impossible. Vexcor's voice thundered across the command channel. No single ship can. His words cut off as the Prometheus executed what could only be described as a tactical impossibility. It seemed to fold space around itself, appearing simultaneously at multiple points in the Nexeri formation. Their carefully coordinated attack pattern collapsed into chaos. You see space as something to traverse. Chen's voice came through clearly despite the electronic warfare saturating the battlefield. We learn to see it as something to manipulate. Your bioorganic ships are magnificent achievements of engineering, but they're built on predictable principles. The Prometheus danced through the Nexeri formation, its weapons striking with surgical precision. Systems failed across the Confederation fleet, but never with lethal force. Each hit was calculated, demonstrating not just superiority, but restraint. Their ship, Thexnar, whispered in awe, "It's not just using advanced technology. It's using principles we never even considered possible. They're not fighting us. They're showing us how wrong we were about the nature of space itself." Zenaval watched as the mighty Confederation fleet, pride of the most advanced civilization in known space, was systematically disabled by a single human vessel, not through overwhelming force, but through strategies that bordered on the impossible. "Stand down," she broadcast to the fleet, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Stand down before we learn any more painful lessons about human ingenuity." The Prometheus returned to its original position, its hull settling back into its deceptively simple configuration. The Nexeri fleet hung in space, most of their ships partially disabled, their crews struggling to understand what they had just witnessed. "This was never about showing our superiority," Chen said into the stunned silence. "It was about showing you that there are more ways to advance than you ever imagined. Humanity didn't climb the same technological ladder as the Nexeri. We built our own." Vexcor's response came slowly, his pride warring with the undeniable reality before him. "The Confederation has never encountered anything like this." "That's because you never truly looked for it," Chen replied. "You were so convinced of your own advancement that you forgot the most important lesson of evolution. Adaptation comes in countless forms, and the most dangerous species are often the ones you underestimate." The battlefield fell silent, the disabled Nexeri ships floating like graceful but wounded leviathans against the star-filled backdrop. In less than an hour, humanity had not just challenged Nexeri military superiority. They had shattered the very foundations of their understanding of technological advancement. In the aftermath of the battle, the Nexeri flagship Eternal Light hosted an unprecedented meeting. The ship's central chamber, normally reserved for Confederation ceremonies, now held both Nexeri leaders and a small human delegation from the Prometheus. Captain Chen stood calmly before the assembled alien officials, her presence somehow filling the vast space despite her smaller stature. "Your demonstration was enlightening," Supreme Commander Vexcor admitted, his crystalline form dimmed with humility. "But what troubles us more than your technology is our inability to understand how you achieved it. Our surveillance showed no signs." "Because you were looking for signs that matched your own development path," Chen interrupted. She gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's history. "While you watched our space program, our weapons, our energy systems, you missed something fundamental about humanity. We don't advance in straight lines." The hologram shifted to show scenes from Earth's past. Ancient warriors adapting enemy tactics, scientists working in secret during wartime, civilian technologies repurposed for survival. Every major human advancement came from necessity, often in ways that seemed impossible at the time. We don't follow a predetermined path of progress. We leap, we adapt, we transform. High Admiral Zenaval's tendrils moved in patterns of deep contemplation. "But your species' history, it's filled with conflict, with division. Our studies showed you spending resources fighting each other that could have been used for advancement." Chen smiled, an expression that carried both warmth and warning. "Those conflicts, painful as they were, drove our innovation. Every war, every crisis, every challenge forced us to think differently. While the Nexeri sought perfection through harmony, humanity forged itself in chaos." She waved her hand, and the Prometheus's systems interfaced seamlessly with the Nexeri holographic technology, something that should have been impossible. The display showed the inner workings of the human warship, revealing systems that defied conventional physics. "We didn't just develop new technology," Chen explained. "We developed new ways of thinking about what was possible. Your civilization advanced like a crystal growing in perfect conditions, beautiful, orderly, predictable. Humanity evolved like life in Earth's deepest oceans, adapting to extreme conditions, finding opportunities in adversity." Fexnar, who had been analyzing the Prometheus's schematics with growing amazement, spoke up. "Your ship's systems, they're not just advanced, They're innovative in ways we never considered. You've taken principles we thought we understood and applied them in ways that should be impossible. Impossible is humanity's starting point, Chen replied. Every time we encountered a limit, we didn't try to overcome it. We found a way around it. Your civilization mastered the laws of physics. We learned to dance between them. The hologram shifted again, showing the recent battle from multiple perspectives. The Nexari leaders watched their mighty fleet outmaneuvered not through superior firepower, but through strategies that seemed to defy reality itself. This is why we reveal ourselves now, Chen continued. The Confederation's military buildup in this sector showed you were preparing to welcome humanity into your hierarchy of civilizations. We needed you to understand that your assumptions about us, about advancement itself, were fundamentally flawed. Vexcor's crystalline form pulsed with realization. You weren't just protecting your independence. You were protecting your way of thinking. Exactly. Chen nodded. The greatest threat to humanity isn't superior technology or military force. It's the assumption that there's only one path to advancement. We've survived and thrived precisely because we refuse to accept such limitations. Zenaval moved forward, her form casting prismatic lights across the chamber. The Confederation has always believed that advanced civilization meant moving beyond conflict, beyond the chaos of competition. But you're suggesting that humanity's strength comes from embracing that chaos. Not embracing it, Chen corrected. Transforming it. Every challenge humanity faced became a catalyst for change. Where you saw primitive technology, we were developing solutions you never imagined. Where you saw wasteful conflict, we were learning to adapt and innovate in ways your peaceful evolution never required. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Nexari had encountered many species, guided many civilizations along what they thought was the only path to advancement. But humanity had blazed its own trail, hidden in plain sight, developing not just different technology, but a different way of looking at the universe itself. The Nexari Confederation Council convened an emergency session, their crystalline forms creating a symphony of light in the eternal light's grand chamber. The recent events had shaken the foundations of their civilization's beliefs, and now they faced a decision that would reshape the galaxy's future. Captain Chen and her small human delegation stood before them, a living reminder of how appearances could deceive. Supreme Counselor Vexthal, the highest authority in the Confederation, addressed the assembly. For millennia, we have guided younger species along the path of advancement. We believed our way was the only way. Today, we stand humbled by our own ignorance. The holographic displays around them showed the Prometheus, still maintaining its vigilant position outside. But now, the Nexari saw it with new eyes, not as a threat to be contained, but as a symbol of possibility they had never imagined. You've proven that technological advancement isn't a linear path, Vexthal continued, addressing Chen directly. But what troubles us most is what this means for the galaxy's future. If humanity has achieved such capabilities in secret, what else might exist beyond our understanding? Chen stepped forward, her presence commanding attention despite being surrounded by beings who towered over her. That's exactly the point we wanted to make. The universe is vast, filled with possibilities we haven't even dreamed of. The Nexari's mistake wasn't in advancing as you did. It was in assuming your path was the only valid one. She gestured, and the Prometheus's systems interfaced with the chamber's displays once again. This time, they showed not weapons or defensive systems, but something far more profound: the countless different approaches humanity had taken to solve problems throughout their history. Look at Earth's biodiversity, Chen explained. Millions of species, each finding unique ways to survive and thrive. Humanity learned from this. We understood that advancement doesn't mean following a single path. It means exploring every possible path. High Admiral Zenaval, who had witnessed humanity's capabilities firsthand, spoke next. But surely there must be some universal principles, some fundamental truths that govern advancement. There are, Chen agreed, but they're not what you think. The universal truth isn't about the path taken. It's about the willingness to adapt, to question, to imagine possibilities beyond what seems possible. The Prometheus's hull shifted again, but this time it wasn't a display of power. Instead, it revealed intricate patterns that mirrored Nexeri crystalline architecture while remaining uniquely human. It was a gesture of understanding, of bridging the gap between their different approaches to existence. "We don't want conflict with the Confederation," Chen continued. "What we want is something far more valuable. The chance to share our different perspectives, to learn from each other. Humanity's path may seem chaotic to you, but it's led us to insights your ordered approach never considered. And we're certain your path has led to discoveries we never imagined." Vexthal's crystalline form pulsed with deep colors of contemplation. "You're proposing an exchange, not of technology, but of ways of thinking," Chen finished. "Imagine what we could achieve by combining humanity's adaptive creativity with Nexeri precision. Not by forcing either species to abandon their nature, but by learning to see the universe through each other's eyes." The chamber erupted in harmonic discussions as the council members debated this unprecedented proposal. The Nexeri had never considered such an arrangement. They had always been the teachers, the guides, the ones who showed the way. But now they faced a species that had found its own way, and done so spectacularly. Finally, Vexthal raised his crystalline appendages for silence. "Captain Chen, you have shown us that there is more to advancement than we ever imagined. The Confederation accepts your proposal. Let this mark the beginning of a new era, not of competition or dominance, but of mutual discovery." The Prometheus's hull shimmered one final time, its surface now displaying a mesmerizing blend of human and Nexeri designs. It was no longer just a warship. It had become a symbol of what was possible when different paths of advancement intersected. "Remember this moment," Chen said, looking around the chamber. "Not as the day humanity proved its strength, but as the day both our species learned that true advancement means being open to possibilities we never imagined. The universe is vast, and there are more paths to the future than any civilization can walk alone." As the human and Nexeri leaders began discussing the practical details of their new partnership, the stars outside seemed to shine brighter. Two civilizations that had developed along radically different paths had found something greater than technological superiority. They had found the wisdom to learn from their differences and the courage to imagine new possibilities together.